APC Technologies. We're here at World Hydrogen North America Conference doing interviews with thought leaders and some pretty smart people about the hydrogen economy and the hope it has. Our sponsors are, of course, APC Technologies, World Hydrogen Leaders, and, of course, H2 Scan, whose advanced sensing technology for the hydrogen economy. Things are changing rapidly, and you will hear some amazing things from amazing people who are decarbonizing the world and who are moving hydrogen forward. So join us. Enjoy these interviews. My next guest is Matthew Blieske.
Yes.
I got it right. I got the Anglified version of it, but I can also call you Blieske.
There you go.
Okay.
Either works.
Matthew's the CEO at LIFTE. Is that, it's got to be on the...
Our Berlin office is LIFTE, and Boston office is LIFTE. So,
okay.
Potato.
Tell me a little bit about your background, how you got involved with LIFTE, how you got involved with the hydrogen economy.
Yeah, I'd been working at Shell for some time, really across a number of their businesses. We were in an innovator group designed to help Shell through the energy transition.
Okay.
And so a number of their different business units needed different skill sets than they had naturally from the prior business that they needed to do. And I wound up looking at hydrogen, just totally not by design, but because that seemed to be a pretty hairy system problem.
For Shell, or kind of on your own? For Shell.
Okay. So there I had helped build up product management and some operations, digital engineering capabilities, system engineering around trying to solve some of these problems that we're talking about here at the conference today. And really was introduced to this fascinating challenge that was not a technology problem.
Okay.
And I came to Shell from an energy startup, and I had vowed to never ever do technology development ever again. And so I saw this challenge, and I said, you know what? Okay, good. Not a technology problem. It's a collaboration problem, both on technical, commercial, societal collaboration problem that was just too fascinating to not jump into. So jumped into it, developed and delivered products and infrastructure around the globe. And then I really wanted to take it to the next level. I saw that there are, companies have strengths and weaknesses, and you need it takes a village, right? Well,
right.
That village is also, it takes many different kinds of companies doing different things. And I really wanted to start a company that was very much focused on not 2030 or 2050, but 2023 to 2024. How do we take step 2 on a 10-step journey? And then how do we take step 3 on the 10-step journey? And so I formed LIFTE H2 with my leadership team from Shell, and we've been deploying designs, products into the market globally that really focus on how do you get customers comfortable with hydrogen. Because I've always said that hydrogen is not going to be scaling based on how fast we build electrolysis. It's going to be scaled based upon how fast customers get comfortable with hydrogen. So we focus very much on the customer, their operability, and how to make something work for them today. That won't work for them tomorrow, but you have to get past today for them to say, okay, well, let's do a little bit more. What do I have to do that? Let's get to that conversation by delivering today.
Are you a consultative company, or are you actually doing the projects, or what role does LIFTE play?
Yeah, we're a solution provider. What that means is we have products, we have services, and we have capabilities that every project and customer is different, and so we combine that in different ways. We could deliver literally and operate literally end to end, from electrolysis to midstream to the end, or we could be moving hydrogen around. We could be doing reference designs, right? It just depends on what that counterparty needs to get comfortable with hydrogen. So we have analysis capabilities, we have design capabilities, and we can build, procure, and operate as well.
So you're the perfect person to ask this question of. I wrote an article, as I mentioned to you, it was called Hydrogen Hype or Hope. Back in the early 2000s, George Bush said hydrogen is the future. It didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And there was a little bit of money put into it, but it just didn't happen. And here we are today, we're told hydrogen is the future. The hydrogen economy is the future. Is it, and is it hope or is it hype? Obviously, you put a lot of shekels into making it about hope, but tell me a little bit about the industry and why you think it's hope. Why would you invest in it?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think the newcomers to hydrogen are here because of the money. That's the hype. The people who've been around a while have seen that this is now our chance. That's the hope.
Okay.
And that's, I see this rationalization of both of those dynamics going on, where you've got a limited amount of capability to draw from. That's growing. That's good. There's a growing amount of investment in technology. That's good. But there's you know, it's not all going to be roses, but it is going to be trending towards up, right? It's going to be like this, right? It's not going to be a straight line. Why? There's going to be some unmet expectations on some of these projects, right? A good chunk of them are not going to pass financial investment decision. There's going to be some technology flops, and we've seen some of them already, right? And I think the hope, though, is that we have enough momentum and enough successes that there's still that understanding that, that people don't interpret that as a flop or another false dawn, but rather the growing pains of something that's happening. So the hype will die, and that's good, but that hype has created policy and investment, and the hope that remains, the capabilities that are still around are going to, grow from that. That's how I see it.
You know, we don't have a lot of regulations along hydrogen midstream, federal regulations. We have it for natural gas. It's there. There is talk of now we need to have regulation that are not there today. So putting money into something that's not yet regulated. OSHA has not updated their safety guidelines around hydrogen since I think it was 1968. And they're going to start getting the message that we better do something because the IRA and the current administration pushing hydrogen. So there are a lot of parts of this equation that are not yet in place. Does that scare you, or does that say, hey, this is like the Wild West, we get to do things and help develop those regulations and safety requirements?
We are, in fact, we have been and continue to be involved in writing and developing those regulations globally, both for ISO, NFPA2, HGV standards at CSA, CGA standards, right? Yeah, right. I think that the midstream guidance is limited in certain areas like, say, pipeline blending.
Right.
But we have everything we need for things like over-road transport.
Right.
So when I say we're focused on kind of taking the first step in that 10-step, 20-step journey, what I mean by that is, we want to get to the point where we're blending 20, 30, 40, 50%, but that's not today. So in the meantime, we're moving cargoes over road. We're getting customers their first loads of hydrogen, making them happy, say, hey, this isn't scary. I know what this looks like. This isn't disrupting my operations. Okay, instead of 1 ton per day, I want to do 10 tons a day. Okay, we can still do that over road. Okay, now that's it. I want to get rid of all my natural gas fired boilers. I want to go all hydrogen. So now I need 1,000 tons a day. Well, that's a long way away, but it will catch up, right? The best way to get through committee meetings in these regulations is to have a pull, have a real existential threat. And that existential threat can be, if you guys don't create regulation, your governing body will become obsolete, right? Yeah. So even then, you can see jockeying for position around, well, is it a CSA standard or is it a CGA standard?
Right.
So all of this doesn't matter unless there's momentum. And so we're very focused on participating in the things that need to be preparing for the future, but primarily focusing on creating that momentum through deploying solutions that customers want to procure.
Next stream of thought. You're the brilliant person to ask because you got an office in Germany and you got an office here. It seems like because of the Ukraine war that energy security became significantly more important in Europe. So they seem to be advancing hydrogen for a different motivation, whereas here we're trying to decarbonize, but we're right in the middle of the oil world, right in Houston, Texas, and they're not ready to give up yet. But there's different motivations. Do you think that there's more positive movement towards newer uses, making it safer in Europe, just simply because of this threat, the existential threat of energy, versus here?
I think two totally different motivations for hydrogen in the two regions. Absolutely, right? Europe, energy short, right? Always have been, always will be. They've got some bad actors in their neighborhood that we don't necessarily have to deal with, and so there is no question in the public mind they may prioritize things. Oh, I want, save the planet is my first thing, or energy security is my first thing. But nonetheless, they're extremely strong social motivators that are never going to go away.
Right.
But it is very hard to do projects in Europe because of the population density. It's energy short. Where are you getting the blue hydrogen's just off the table, because where are you going to store it on mainland?
Right.
It's North Sea's your only bet. So it's supply is the biggest problem in Europe. Demand is, can be built. But what's interesting about the U.S. and Canada is that we're just, energy blows in the wind, right? It just falls off the trees around here, and that's not the problem. The problem is motivation, right? Maybe it's not a decarbonization agenda for some, certainly on the coast perhaps, and that's not to say that there isn't a decarbonization agenda, here in Houston, but there are other drivers, like for example, the Port of Houston is running up against a freedom to operate problem. Right. You can't expand without reducing particulate emissions. Okay, well that's something, but also resiliency is a real thing, right? The Texas grid is not doing so well.
Yeah, I know. Right.
And so you can solve that in a number of ways, right? You can solve it without hydrogen. You can solve it with more natural gas storage, or different regulation around the power grid. But I think what we're seeing is that pull for a clean molecule around the globe is just too tantalizing for this region. I spend more time in Louisiana, Kentucky, and Oklahoma than I do in California. These are places that get it. They realize that they can do it cheaper, right? Pro-infrastructure, easy to build, easy to permit, low cost of energy, lots of trucks, lots of industry. It's just, this is the place to scale it, right? And you see people who are pro-energy. They're not pro-oil and gas, they're pro-energy.
Right.
Right? And this is another energy. It's not necessarily going to, we will have hydrocarbons as part of our mix forever. The only issue is that's all we've used, right?
Yeah.
So creating more tools in the toolkit creates resiliency.
Right.
And I think people in this part of the world get that.
Right, especially in Houston, because you've got the same problem in Florida, California. Last, you mentioned collaboration, and there seems to be, at this conference and others I've attended, in hydrogen economy today, there seems to be a greater desire and practicality of collaboration as opposed to buy my thing, it's the only thing.
Yeah.
What is your vision of collaboration in this industry?
It's really where customers are at the center of that collaboration.
Okay.
Right. And I'll be a little controversial here. And this gets to the hope and hype bit, right? So the DOE hubs are a great way to create awareness and understanding of the real issues. But they're fundamentally structured in an incorrect way, I believe. They're centered around production, not around demand.
They are, yeah.
Right? And so but the purpose they serve is to get a country that was flat-footed on this whole hydrogen issue, starting to have that regional dialogues and spill over to national dialogues that just create this awareness around their issues and how do we actually prevent this from being a false dawn. So that's a necessary thing, but collaboration has to be customer-centric. Has to be, because at the end, they're the ones who are putting their operation at risk. They're the ones who have to receive this new molecule and try to figure out what to do with that, and also run their diesel or gasoline or methane infrastructure. It's the renewable developers and the infrastructure providers that have the optionality, right? The renewable developers or the nuke plants, they can still sell power, but they don't have to go into hydrogen. So they're selling something that they don't have to do, but the operator is the one who's got their neck on the line. The operator is the one who's going to suffer the upset of my plant's upset or whatnot. They have to be at the center of this conversation. And they have to get the confidence that they have a supply chain behind them that's going to support them and not let them down. So I would say that collaboration starts with the customer. And the customer has to see that the supply chain isn't bickering and everyone's kind of ordered. And when they see that, I think you're going to get people buying a lot more green hydrogen.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Great.